Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with coverage of round 2 of the 2017 Tata Steel tournament, played on Sunday the 15th of January 2017. An eventful round, 4 draws, 3 decided games, and I picked out the 2 most interesting for you. Let's first look how the world champion got on. Magnus Carlsen was white and he played the Polish grandmaster Radoslaw Wojtaszek. Carlsen opened with e4 and Wojtaszek played c5. He is known to be a Sicilian player. Knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, and with a7, a6 we are in the Najdorf variation of the Sicilian. Yesterday, Sergei Karyakin, the former challenger of Carlsen in the World Championship in November 2016, played here the very unusual move a2, a3. Carlsen saw that move during the first round and thought it was an interesting idea, and he decided to copy that move, so he played a3 here. a7, a5, as in Karyakin's game against Geary, and here Karyakin played the knight from d4 to f3. During the game, Carlsen thought to himself, why did Karyakin not play knight f5? He checked that idea in his hotel room with his second and with his laptop and his databases, and he decided to give it a try. Knight f5. One of the questions you can ask yourself is, can black now not take on e4? Now let's have a quick look. Knight takes e4 is not good for black because of knight takes g7 check, an interim move, and after that knight is taken you take back on e4, and this is a nice position for white. Wojtaszek played d6, d5. Carlsen played bishop g5, d4, bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, knight d5, queen has to go back, and queen g4. This was Carlsen's preparation, and he said afterwards that it was clear that Wojtaszek had not seen this move and the idea behind it, because it looks like a mistake. Because what happens if you kick the knight with g7, g6? The knight cannot go because then the queen will be attacked by the bishop on c8. But of course Carlsen had prepared this, and the way to play this is queen g3, counter-attacking the pawn on e5. And let me give you variation. If now knight c6 to protect that pawn, then you can play knight takes d4 with white. Surprising move, because after knight takes d4 you can take on e5 and it's check. The rook is hanging, the knight is hanging, everything is hanging, white is winning. If after knight takes d4 from white you take back with a pawn, then there is another strong move, knight c7 check, forking king and rook, and this is also a very good position for white. He wins material. So Wojtaszek had not seen this queen g4 idea, and this is already unpleasant for black. He has to give up the bishop pair. Bishop takes f5 and queen takes f5, bishop d6 to protect the e5 pawn, and Carlsen played h2, h4. This position is easy to play for white. He wants to play h5, he wants to play rook h3, and black is not developed fully, and white has a free initiative. Knight c6 from Wojtaszek, bishop c4, shining nicely through the black position. They call it Bobby Fischer's move in the Sicilian, bishop c4. He played that move in many Sicilians. b5, bishop b3. And this was an interesting moment in the commentary. Grandmaster Yasasaran said that Anatoly Karpov, the 12th world champion, always said, keep your pieces as far away as possible from your opponent. So, according to Saran, Karpov would have played bishop a2 here. Knight e7, kicking the queen. Queen goes to g4. Black castled. Rook h3 as planned. It's also important, this is an attacking position for white, and it's also important to know that with bishops of the opposite color, that often favors the attacking player. He really has an extra piece in the attack, and that bishop on b3 cannot be opposed by a bishop of the same color in defense. So it is an advantage for white to have bishops of opposite color in this attacking position. Wojtaszek took on d5, bishop takes d5, hitting the rook, rook a7, rook g3, queen f6. Of course, after rook g3 there was a mate in one thread, and Steinitz always said, the first world champion, avoid creating weaknesses around your king. So instead of g7, g6, queen f6 is a better move. It doesn't create any weaknesses. a4. And here comes an important move. Bishop b4 check and king f1. And I'll explain in a minute why. B takes a4, rook takes a4, a5. And if there had not been bishop b4 as an interim move, bishop b4 check and king f1, then the rook could have gone to c4 and maybe later to c6. And that's why it's important that that bishop is there on b4. The rook on a4 is not doing anything, so it goes back to a1. And then rook c7, bishop b3, rook a8, king g1, bishop f8, queen h5, g6, kicking the queen back, queen g4, and rook a6. Carlsen said afterwards about this phase of the game that he did not play it in the best way, and that he gave away most of his advantage, but that with rook a6 black was losing the threat, and that now he was better again. He played h5, queen f4, black tries to swap the queens. That will make his task easier. Carlsen is not having it. Queen e2, attacking the rook, queen f6, queen b5, and now the pawn on a5 is hanging. And here Wojtaszek should have tried rook c5 and then possibly queen b7. The game goes on, but white has a pleasant advantage. But here Wojtaszek, who was already in big time trouble, he had only a few minutes left, he played the blunder queen c6. And now white could have taken with the rook on a5, but much stronger is to take the pawn on e5. And Wojtaszek must have missed that this was possible. It looks like it's not possible because of bishop d6 with a skewer of queen and rook. It looks like black wins material, but Carlsen had seen that in that case he's winning easily with h takes g6, a queen sacrifice. If black takes that queen, then there is g takes f7 check, king f8, rook g8 check, king e7, and as chess players say, it is a girl. Promotion to a queen, f8 queen, king d7, and queen d8 checkmate. So that leads to a forced checkmate. Wojtaszek had seen it in the meantime, and he played quickly rook e7 instead of bishop d6. Carlsen played queen f4, a4, bishop d5, queen has to go, queen c7. Carlsen still does not want to trade queens, so queen d2, Queen b6, and a very nice move, very instructive move. When your opponent is in time trouble, give him something. He will be looking for forced moves. So if you play a move like Carlsen did here, just protecting his b2 pawn with rook a2, it doesn't do much, but now it's black's turn. You just give the move to your opponent, black is in time trouble, and he has to come up with something. There's not anything to react to, he has to think of a move himself. Very strong idea, something to keep in mind when playing against an opponent who is in time trouble. Rook c7, rook f3, queen b4, again trying to swap the queens, and you can always go wrong even in a winning position, because if you play queen f4 here, which looks like a logical move, then suddenly black wins because of queen e1 check, king h2, and now the old friend bishop d6 does work, because we have a problem with that d6 h2 diagonal. Queen and king are skewered and black wins. Carlsen had seen that and he didn't play queen f4, he played queen e2. He still did not want to swap queens. Rook b6, and Carlsen now took on g6, and after h takes g6 he played g2, g3. Again tidying up the position, as Grandmaster Yasser once said. He's not in a rush. Yes, his king is safe on g1, but it will be even safer on g2. So he plays a little move g2, g3 to tidy things up. King g7, king g2, rook d7, and now Carlsen had seen a plan to win a second pawn. Queen d1, looks like a strange move, and we see in a minute why this is so strong. Rook f6, Carlsen swapped the rooks, king takes back, and now c2, c3. Hitting the queen and also attacking the a4 pawn with both rook and queen. D takes c3, rook takes a4, and Wojtaszek had enough. He resigned. Why did he resign? Can you not just take the pawn on b2 with the queen? Yes, you can, but then you'll lose very quickly, because then queen d4 check is very strong. The black queen is cut off from the defense, and the black king is not going to survive this. For example, king e7, queen e5 check, king d8, rook a8 check, and it is already checkmate on the next move. So Wojtaszek resigned after rook takes a4, winning a second pawn. He's probably going to lose the c3 pawn as well, and that's not a position that he has any chance of saving. A nice win for Magnus Carlsen, and this is what he had to say after the game. I was wondering yesterday during the game when Karjakin played a2, a3, why not go knight d4, f5 after e75? It was too tempting not to give it a try. I checked this idea yesterday evening. Wojtaszek missed the queen g4 idea. Then it's very pleasant for white. I think I misplayed it and it was equal. Rook a6 was quite poor. He missed the thread around there. I could have won quicker, but I didn't see it and I didn't want to take any chances. Tomorrow, I don't know who I'm playing tomorrow. Good win from Carlsen in his first white game. And the second game, I'd like to show you at least the final moves of it, is the all-Indian clash, Harikrishna against Adiban. This is the position after 37 rook e1 to h1 from white, which is Penchala Harikrishna. Adiban is black. Position is about equal. Black has an extra pawn, but look at that very strange king on g4. All his pieces are in his own camp, but only his king is exposed, and that is the piece that you would like to keep safe in your own camp. but overall this position is about equal. The king is not in immediate danger. Adiban ran for safety, king f5, back to the safe zone. Rook h5 check, king e6, rook h6, and now what Adiban should have played is the logical king f7. He may have been afraid for knight f4 and attacking ideas for white, but here the very strong move rook g8 holds the position and it's about equal. As Harikrishna said after the game, he will probably win the f6 pawn back with some exchanges, and then the position looks very drawish. But Adiban did not see it, and under time pressure he played the king back to f5, and that was a mistake. Knight h4 check, and now, as Harikrishna said, the last chance for black is to go to e4, but white is also better then. But here, on the 40th move, how often do we see the 40th move being a mistake? Adiban played king g5, and that gets the king in a mating net. Rook g6 check. Of course, king g5 looked like a good move. It's attacking two pieces, and there's no way to defend both pieces at the same time. Rook g6 check, king takes h4. Rook h1 check, bishop h3, and now the move that Adiban must have missed, and that caused resignation on the spot. Rook g3, and it's checkmate on the next move. Very nicely played from Harikrishna, and it was his first win in the tournament. These are the results of the second round. You can look for your favorite player there. 3 decisive results. It's worth noting that Pavel Elyanov, yesterday's winner, won again, this time with the black pieces against Luc van Wely, the Dutchman. So Elyanov starts with 2 out of 2, and these are the standings after the second round. Elyanov leading the pack, followed by world champion Magnus Carlsen and Pentala Harikrishna, who both won their first game today. 4 players on half a point out of 2. Hope you enjoyed the coverage of the second round. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to my channel, and I'm looking forward to seeing your comments. You may also want to check out my other YouTube channel, which is called Chess to Progress, which is aimed at beginning and improving players. This is Rick from Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.